Good afternoon. Welcome to the Glendale Housing Authority meeting for February the 2nd, 2021, being called to order at 3:06. Due to the evolving situation with COVID-19 and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, Glendale Housing Authority meeting will be available to the public electronically. Due to social distancing requirements, the public will not be able to attend the meetings. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of your homes to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable, Charter Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. You can also, it is streaming online at glendaleca.gov at the public meeting portal. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the Glendale Housing Authority joint meeting. Thank you. And so with that, may we have roll call, please?
Authority member Agajanian.
Present.
Brotman.
Here.
Kasakian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Chair Devine.
Here. And what's next, please, Mr. Ajanian?
Next would be the agenda for the February 2nd, 2021 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. It was posted on Tuesday, January 26, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And next?
Next would be approval of minutes for minutes of the regular Housing Authority meeting of January 19th, 2021 and joint Housing Authority and Council meeting of January 19th, 2021.
I move the item.
And is there a second? Thank you. Hearing no objections, the minutes stand approved as submitted. And what's next, please?
Next would be oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report. There is one caller on the line.
All right, thank you. Hello?
Herbert, you're live. Herbert, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Members of the Housing Authority and President Devine, my name is Herbert Molano. Every year, the Housing Authority is making significant decisions on housing policy. And since the city has 2/3 of its population living in multifamily housing, I'm calling to suggest that this agency needs accurate and periodic information on housing trends, and that you get this information at least every 3 months. The city often hires consultants or outside services to determine what the vacancy rate is in Glendale, along with information such as the average or median rental prices for single, 1-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments. And based upon that information, you are making decisions. What I find surprising is that this basic information is not made accessible and presented to you on a regular basis so that you are fully apprised of what the trends really are. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now is that last year, during several contentious meetings, there were many assumptions being made with regard to the increases in the pricing of housing, to the shortage of housing, and based on those impressions, and oftentimes what I consider truly bad information, the Housing Authority or the City Council combined made decisions that were, in my opinion, rather deficient with regard to the scope of the problem or the issues that we have. And I think it is contingent upon the Housing Authority and the City Council to get truly accurate information. Let me give you an example. When an outside party goes out there to determine if what the average or median prices are for vacancies, they're looking at what is currently open, not really what the current rents being charged are, which often are 10 to 20% below market. And given that information, you get the impression that there is an increase that is unsustainable for the renters in Glendale, as an example. And this needs to be verified so that you truly get the accurate information that is out there. I know that as a landlord in Glendale for over 30 years, for most of the time that I've been a landlord, my rents have been about 20% below market. And on my meetings that I've had with many other landlords, that has been the case. But when activists come in to present their case, they're oftentimes presented on misinformation, such as what the current rents for vacancies are. Or they present information concerning the shortage of apartments when I actually can see visually as I drive through Glendale many vacancies out there as well. So you make policies based on information, and I think that this authority needs on a regular basis true, accurate, and regular information so that you can see what the trends really are. And I suspect that during this significant recession and the lack of jobs, that there is a significant change in the way the apartments are being made available, or what the current rents really are, or even the impact that it has had on Section 8 housing. And so I believe that the Housing Authority needs to get monthly information, or every time it meets, with regard to what is the current number of individuals on Section 8, what are the recent increases in Section 8 housing, how big is the list on Section 8, and now, of course, what is the impact that is impacting students in need of housing. So my suggestion is that you get this information on a regular monthly basis, so that this is truly relevant to you and the public who are watching these sessions, and get accurate information so you can make good decisions, and we can then give our input based on the accurate information that you're getting. Anyway, that's my opinion, and that's my suggestion going forward. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. Always some good suggestions coming from you. I think you have a good point, and I'd like to say that perhaps during these meetings where we have no real agendized items, that it would be good for staff to bring us a report on what is available, what are the rents, et cetera. I have to say one thing, in fact, that's that visually accounting for rented and non-rented apartments is not really accurate, because as we know, when we ask for the reports on the apartments downtown, everyone always thinks that there's no one living there, but we actually have occupancy up in the 90 percentile. Mr. Brotman, I can see that you want to make a comment, so please.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that. But there's a problem. I'm getting a bad echo back.
I am as well.
Makes it pretty hard to speak when you hear yourself a second later.
Right.
Is
there anything
anyone IT can try to troubleshoot what's going on?
Feedback?
Yeah,
Councilman
Yeah, still here
Brotman,
again.
they are looking into it right now.
okay, well, I'll do my best.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, Mr. Milano brings up a good point, and it's something I've been thinking about, and I spoke to Mr. Lanzafame about it. Well, not spoke, I guess we exchanged some emails a few weeks ago on the subject of a rental registry. Because one of the problems is that information is not available. We don't know about the vacancies in Glendale. We don't know the rents that are actually being charged. We don't know when they've last been increased. We would only know that if we had a system where landlords did enter that information, and it would then be available to us and to the public. I know there has been pushback on that for concerns over information disclosure, and some cities, and I read a city recently that implemented a rental registry, and they made some information is available publicly through a portal, but other information is not made public because it's, potentially proprietary, but that is available potentially to, a housing authority. So I think we looked at this a couple of years ago and found that it would be an expensive undertaking to set up. But I would suggest we look again and see what can be done. and to what extent we can offset the costs. Maybe there's a small fee that landlords pay, and that would help recoup some of the cost of setting up that kind of a system. That's, I think, the only way, unless Mr. Lansdale wants to comment, I think that's the only way we're going to ever really have this data. So having reports, I don't really see the point if we don't have the data.
Mr. Lanzafame, would you like to comment on that, or Peter Zovak on the Section 8?
Madam Chair, members of the Housing Authority, I think you are correct, Mr. Brotman, for, I think, the type of information market-wide. You are correct as well that we looked at this in 2018 and 19 when we brought the rental rights program. At the time, the council did not implement that. We do have Section 8 information that Mr. Zovak can comment on that will give you a snapshot of that piece of rents that are being asked and achieved in those units. Peter, do you have anything more to add?
You're correct in that the last time that this was discussed was during the discussion that the then council had about rent control. It was proposed that a rent registry program might be something that would be considered valuable and particularly helpful with a rent control program. Since the rent control program was not pursued, the registry program or proposal was not pursued as well. But as it was already indicated, there are costs associated with that program, both in staffing and in being able to maintain and develop a system and maintain it that can collect that information and store it. We do have information that we could present to the Housing Authority, either in memo format or at a future meeting where we can break down some of the rental data that we have for our Section 8 units in terms of the breakdowns between 1, 2s, and 3-bedroom units. I know I was looking at a report just earlier this week for the month of February. Our average assistance on a Section 8 unit is about $1,073 a month. Given that it's not the total rent, but that's our total component there in terms of our subsidy. So we are limited right now in the information we can get from the public about rental rates.
So if I could, Chair, yeah, if my colleagues support it, I'd be interested in taking another look at this. I know that many cities have rental registries specifically associated with rent control programs, and they're capturing rent control units. But there are other cities that have done something broader, and they're capturing information on properties, I think maybe, 4 and above or something like that, cutting out, mom and pop, but getting the lion's share of the data. So if any of my colleagues would support that, I would be interested in getting a report on the data we have today, what the gaps are, what a registry, a very simple one, could get us, and what it would involve to set it up and to operate it on an ongoing basis.
Would anyone like to second that? I think it would be beneficial for us to have that information, as Mr. Milano and Mr. Brotman are suggesting. I don't know that we are all in favor of a whole program, a whole registry at this point. What I would like is to have staff come back to us with some of this general information so we know exactly where our city stands, where our renters stand, what's, how number of available apartments, or information that might be beneficial to anyone that's watching this Housing Authority meeting and needs to have information about the availability here in our city and the cost. So perhaps we can take that under consideration, Mr. Lanzafame. Thank you. Any other comments?
Is there a second on that, or was that a second?
Sure, I'll second it. I think the chair also has voiced her support for some report.
I'm not voicing my support for the registry and for the.
No, for a report.
Well, you can do a report, Mr. Lansfane. That would be fine. We have a second on that one, okay? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Mr.
Phil, we
Lansfane.
can't hear you.
We will bring you a report on costs, the information that we have available to us, and then an outline of a registry. It will most likely will freshen the information we gave to the council before. We'll schedule that as soon as we can put it all together.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. What's next, please? Mr. Jimmy,
It'd be authority member and staff comments?
any comments? Staff? None?
None.
Next? Oh, did I hear someone? Okay, next item, please.
Then it would be adjournment.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, can I move to adjourn?
Second,
And a second, and we are adjourned at 3:22. Thank you.
move before adjournment for council.
Oh, this isn't a joint
Oh,
meeting.
this isn't a joint one, sorry.
No. Yeah, it's okay.
I jumped the gun.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, go ahead.
Good afternoon.